I don't,
Can you hear us, Bruce? We can't hear you. Mute?
I don't think he's muted though. He's not, it must be in. Maybe it's off, and he's gonna get it picked up.
I heard him faintly right
Okay,
then.
try that now.
It's down on the right.
Just on the very, the bottom.
This meeting to order at 7:05 p.m.
Oh, yeah.
on Monday, June 17th, 2024. We will start with consent agenda items. Minutes of the June 3rd, 2024 school board meeting and June 10th, 2024 school board special meeting closed session. We have some general fund vouchers and purchasing card transactions. Request approval of general fund vouchers 181849 through 181979 and 292859 through 292887, and purchasing card transactions dated 4/21/24 through 5/20/24. We have some professional staffing recommendations, as well as some co-curricular staffing recommendations. And I would look for a motion to approve the consent agenda item as presented.
I move to accept the consent agenda as presented.
Thank you, Tom. Second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Megan.
Chapman?
Yes.
Chapman? Yes. All those in favor, please signify by saying,
Just a minute. Aaron, were you able to make that revision to the minutes? Great, thank you. Okay.
all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously 5-0. Okay, moving on. Let me get to the right page here. Public comments. It's my understanding that we do have a public comment this evening, so if you would allow, I will read this before we get going. In accordance with School Board Policy 167.3, the McFarland School Board welcomes public comment during regular meetings from individuals who are present at the meeting or who have sent an email to the board president or superintendent. Participants are required to register to speak upon arriving at the meeting, state their name, address, and any group affiliation before speaking, address only topics within the legitimate jurisdiction of the board, recognize that the board will not respond to comments during the meeting unless the item is on the published agenda. Limit their comments to under 5 minutes or 250 written words, and of course, we must maintain decorum. So I do have a community member this evening, Melanie, is it Robach?
Roback, yeah.
Roback, to talk to us about school funding and the funding survey. The floor is yours.
Thank you. My name is Melanie Roback. I'm a parent of 2 here and one of about 30 community members from that referendum engagement group made up of a hearty mix of yeses and nos on the failed April referendum. This comment is my part 2, continuing from the last time in regards to the June survey, which just came out today and proposes 3 options to gauge support for a possible referendum in November. If you missed part 1, especially if you're a parent, you'll want to check it out. Every school board meeting is recorded. Go to June 3rd, 51:51. That's 51 minutes, 51 seconds into the video, 51:51, like Highway 51. It goes right by our great, good old McFarland. Meanwhile, if you plan to vote in November, weigh in now. Surveys are due July 3rd, just 2 weeks. And don't be shy bringing it up at all these wonderful community events happening in and around McFarland House and the library over the next 2 weeks. Spread the word. Every time we say hello, think, wait, there was something else. Oh yes, the survey, do the survey. The district has plenty of info on their website, but please know that all 3 options up for serious consideration at this point are less than the April referendum amount and maintain the $1.2 million in cuts made already as the new normal for McFarland schools, like increased class sizes and fewer staff support. I said a lot about the implications of this at the last board meeting, 51:51. And let me note, these are competitive positions at every level. Our teachers are here because they love teaching and they saw the conditions are ripe for thriving and being effective here, which is an important part of loving it. And they're here because they're the ones who made the cut. This district has taken care of its teachers. It's leveraged resources to make it a great place to teach, even without higher ranking salaries in the county. Our annual staff retention is about 95%, excellent. These options compromise our ability to keep this up. As we start pulling the thread a little bit on our commitment, it's very easy for the whole sweater to start unraveling. Our great teachers, staff, and administrators, they'll have other options. And again, to be really clear, a standard education is defined by the state of Wisconsin. It costs what it costs. The state's funding formula caps local property tax revenues for schools based on this cost, but it stopped accounting for inflation over a decade ago, leaving it to each district to make up the difference or not through local referenda. You'll actually see on your tax bill that the amount that went to our schools went down from 2018 to 2023, even as property values went way up. Our sharply rising property taxes have provided increased revenue for the village, but not for schools. If you tune into the village board meetings, you'll hear community members like Mike Madursky and Sam Salenga calling for a pause or slowdown on village spending and for the village to work better with the district, recognizing that these 2 separate entities are felt as one by village residents. See the June 10th village meeting online, 5 minutes in, and contact the village if you agree with anything Mike or Sam had to say. And talk about fiscal responsibility. Despite the district's decreasing revenue since 2018, the district actually flipped the budget from short-term borrowing in 2018 to building up an interest-earning surplus that we're now poised to rapidly deplete without a robust referendum. The belt is tight, and the district hasn't tooted their horn well enough. It's been tight for a long time, and meanwhile, the district has grown in numbers, reputation, programming, but also in special education and mental health needs, and we're gonna need a bigger belt. These survey options go in the opposite direction. In broad strokes, if we like what our schools have been doing, all three options on the survey are inadequate to the task of maintaining it. A McFarland teacher's starting salary is already near the bottom in the county, not especially competitive in a dire teacher shortage. Looking at administrators' salaries is more of a mix, but yields a similar comparison. Admittedly, they have more room for sacrifice and have. McFarland school administrators just agreed to cut about $50,000 collectively from their expected salary increases for next school year, including voluntary pay freezes by some, like Mr. Tarnitzer himself. Some might say, woohoo, but that's not a long-term strategy and doesn't do us any good to tempt our strong leadership elsewhere right when we need them most and when conditions of working in our schools have suddenly grown a little bit tenuous. This district is the crown jewel of McFarland. The level of thriving, care, sense of community, comfort, safety, all this comes from people who see it here already, come for it, bring more, and no doubt this is part of what makes McFarland a thriving community for our senior citizens too. What's good for families is good for retirees too. As we weigh in, let's seriously consider how far we want to stray. Engage your neighbors. We need everybody. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well said. Moving on, informational items first. School safety written drill evaluation notification and review per Wisconsin State Statute 118.074 CP.
Yes, you'll see in your packet, there was an administrative hold at Conrad Elvian Primary School for a student medical issue. Everything went very well, was very well handled. I can say so because I was there.
Glad to hear.
Any questions?
No, the only comment I would make is that I thought the write-up was really well done. It just accentuates the point that we always have to be prepared,
Yes.
regardless of what might happen or who it might happen to, because you just never know. So thanks for the staff for responding so promptly.
Yes, they are amazing.
They're good at what they do. Okay, moving on. Sharing a portion of a teacher job description. I see we have that in front of us.
Yeah, so this was an idea that Mr. Mooney actually shared during a previous meeting. And the idea is that as board members, you should become aware and have a good understanding about what the majority of our staff, who are teaching staff, what is part of their role and expectations. I will make a note to you that this job description will be under review this year, so we'll be working with the Employee Relations Committee as we are revising all of our job descriptions just for uniformity. However, the content is generally going to be the same. I think we'll just make it a little bit more concise. So for our time today, I wanted to kind of emphasize just a few parts of this document here with you and of course with the public as well. You will see here, what we're going to do is just do kind of the introductory part and the responsibilities. We'll do the first two responsibilities today, and then we'll do the second two at a later time in the future. So the first two will be planning and preparation, and then also, I think the second one is classroom environment. Yes, classroom environment today. So feel free to jump in. This is, meant to be informal and just to get you a sense of what's contained in there. The first thing you'll see in the beginning with that general job description is an emphasis on making sure students have both opportunities and support. And that combination is a real theme throughout, and making sure that to the extent that we're able to is to meet individual personal goals and individual learning needs. And I think that's the part of being a teacher that we can't emphasize enough how challenging it is and how dedicated they are to differentiating to meet individual student needs. That's a real focus you'll see throughout this whole job description, and certainly is one of the reasons why we try to keep class sizes as low as we can. When you look at planning and preparation, you can see this first part talks about, first of all, having the knowledge of content and pedagogy. So that is a very high expectation. It's a very robust requirement, given all of the complexities that teaching entails. I'm trying this. I haven't used the scroll feature on here before, so I don't know. It's not being friendly to me, so I'm going to stop sharing just for my own benefit. I'm sorry to the public, but it wasn't scrolling. But those of you board members, you have this handy. The next part is demonstrating knowledge of students. So that's both students in generally and the students in front of you. And it really requires a strong knowledge of child development and student needs. It also requires an excellent knowledge of students with unique needs, which I would say all of our students have, but that includes students with disabilities and have individualized educational plans or IEPs and 504 plans as well. So that requires that constant differentiation and adaptations. When you look at setting instructional outcomes that are part of teachers' responsibilities, that's about having high standards for kids, really having high expectations, and setting clear learning targets for the students, and making sure that you're using data to inform their progress in relation to that. I'll talk about that in a little bit. Of course, with resources, when you look at knowledge of resources, there's so many resources, both things that kids bring with their background knowledge and their experiences, but also in terms of resources that teachers bring and access beyond in the curriculum that's provided. Turning over now, talking about designing coherent instruction. So that's where we get into teacher talk is the scope and sequence, but you're aligning lessons and activities to meet those instructional goals. So there's logic in it. It's very clear. These are our instructional outcomes. This is the curriculum we're following, and this is how we're going to get there. And then lastly in this domain is the component of designing student assessment. So we want to make sure that we know what we want kids to learn and how we will know if they know it. And that those assessments should really guide our instruction. So there's different kinds of assessment. There's formative and summative. Summative is typically at the end of learning. Formative is used throughout so that we can adjust our instruction throughout to make sure that kids get what they need. When you look at classroom environment, and then we'll stop for this time and pick up from there next time, that's really about creating a classroom environment where you have respect, rapport, certainly high classroom management, but this culture for learning. And when I had my principal hat on and was working with teachers, I like the sequence of this model, which, by the way, I didn't even mention. This comes from Charlotte Danielson's work with the framework for teaching, and that's what the district uses in our evaluation for teachers. So that's where all these categories come from. But I like how it starts with respect and rapport, because really you have to have that first before you can move on to the second one, which is very challenging, a culture for learning. And that's where you not only have high expectations for students, but you're supporting them, and so that they feel that they can take instructional risks and feel comfortable doing that. So they value hard work, they value learning for the sake of work. Teachers will often say one of their more frustrating things is when a kid says, will this be on the test? You need to know it. This is important to learn. I'm spending time on it, so obviously this is important. So the classroom procedures are just routines and things that help you meet those instructional goals, of course, following our policies. managing student behavior, there's a real art to that. You want to be fair, equitable, to the extent that you can, base it on what a student needs. I often use the term differentiated discipline, so that a student gets what they need, and sometimes that's different. But by having those routines and an engaging lesson, you often minimize the need to address behavioral issues. But there certainly continue to be. So trying to be subtle, preventative. Our teachers really know how to gently redirect students and provide them that support that they need. And then lastly is organizing the physical space. So how you use technology and the physical space helps you achieve the instructional goals there. So that was just a brief kind of highlight, and we haven't done this before, so let me know if that met your needs, and open to your questions, observations that you have with what we've covered so far.
Anyone got it?
Yeah, I think this is really good, Aaron. It's good review for all of us. And I just underlined some of the
Yeah.
action words that we expect of staff. When we say teachers, we're talking about many staff.
Yes.
Identifying, selecting, modifying, planning, teaching, following, implementing, understanding, reviewing, maintaining, demonstrating, aligning, differentiating, creating, promoting, communicating, managing, monitoring, providing, organizing. Again, that's a lot of what I think teachers do. Yeah, we haven't even talked about the direct connection between students and the teachers.
No.
This all just background information, skills that teachers have to have. So it's quite in-depth. As I've always said, teaching is a very complicated profession. And again, I think this is good review for all of us, just knowing that this is just part of their job role though. And again, we keep filling their platters up, and I know time is of essence, it always has, but always will be. But again, we really want to, focus in on the teacher being in the classroom in front of the kids. So, thanks.
And you will see as we go through the other components, you're trying to find a balance between these things that we've talked about. This one, classroom environment, and then the next one are very observable in the classroom. And that's often what people think about with teaching. But there's all that planning that we talked about in that first component. And then there's, on the last one that we'll talk about, is professional responsibilities. So that's all your documentation, partnering with families, all those other things that are part of the job, contributing to the profession. So, finding that balance is really challenging. And that's why you hear our teachers talking about their workload and finding a good balance with their life. And it's hard.
It is. And I think just the communication between teacher to teacher, teacher to administration, teacher to parent, teacher to student, just that ongoing, constant communication. Because all kids are different.
True.
And they all need something that suits their needs.
Anything else? Bruce, do you have anything?
No, it's just very well said, Aaron. I thought you did a wonderful job. Thank you.
I noted, and pardon me if this is on further, I noticed that standards-based grading isn't mentioned. Is it just an assumption that new teachers will come in and pick up on the standards-based grading as our norm, even if they hadn't come from someplace maybe that didn't?
I wouldn't say that they'll just pick up on it. I mean, that's instruction that's provided and constantly being reworked. I will say that most teachers are coming with that experience, but assessment comes a little bit later in the job description. One of the things you'll see in this is the job description is not tied to any specific
Right.
assessment model.
Yep.
So it's flexible in the sense that whatever, different districts do different things. So these are, you would find similar expectations in other districts. It's not unique to McFarland, but standards-based grading certainly is something that is a key to what we've been doing here.
I think we're very fortunate to have such a strong mentoring program, because if staff come in not knowing everything, which is fine, we have the mentoring program to help support them.
Yep. Very true.
More people should learn this.
I think that was the idea.
Maybe
Tom.
the idea? That's possible.
Just to be aware of,
Yeah.
of the complexity of everything, and not only for us as board members, but for the whole community.
Yeah.
You know, I think there's just a lack of understanding, because so much of it is behind the scenes. As a community, we see teachers in front of the kids teaching, but not everything else.
You know, if we aren't necessarily aware of the details or the minutia of, you know, what goes into teaching, just imagine what, you know, your common Mr. and Mrs. Smith out in the community, how little they really do understand. Most, I suspect, go back to when they were in school,
Most likely.
you know, because that's, you know, that's their only context.
Well, I mean, I'll be honest. I have kids in the district, and I had no idea the job description was this involved. So kudos to you for putting it together, and more importantly, kudos to our teachers who are willing to be so in-depth with everything they're doing that they do meet all these qualifications.
Like it. Really well done. Okay, discussion items, school board member office hours.
Oh,
That's me.
did you ask for office hours?
I did. I would like a corner office with window. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, you should.
Yeah.
Get it first. You should get
I
it
mean, you
first.
do have a nice
Stand in
window.
line.
Yes,
know.
to the
Granted.
To the hall, yeah, it's beautiful.
No, I was talking to Aaron about this because I think with the referendum in April, I personally didn't feel like I probably did as much as I could have to help inform the public or get the word out about our situation. So,
Did we lose Bruce?
no?
No,
Oh,
he's
he
there.
is a little frozen.
Oh, there
There
he
he is, okay. And so I wanted to, I don't know that it's gonna necessarily help in the while the survey's out, but I wanted to do kind of office hours somewhere in the village, and was wondering if anyone wanted to join me. And I just, it would kind of be like a Q&A for people to show up and ask questions about the referendum or just try to understand more. But it doesn't have to be a Q&A, just an opportunity to have kind of those informal discussions. And if anyone else wanted to kind of schedule them, like if we could even try to do it so there's one of us doing it once a week for the next 5 or 6 weeks, or,
I think maybe 2 at a time is,
so that's what I was wondering too, like having 2 board members there, as opposed to just one might be helpful. I know I always learn when I hear you guys talking to other people, in the public, and
I think we're also less scary
Are we?
if there's like 2 people, rather than just people feeling comfortable enough to walk up to one person. Does that make sense?
I mean,
Maybe.
look at us.
I mean, we're very scary
Super
looking people.
intimidating type.
true. So I don't know, I just, if
I think
any
it's
of
a
you are
great
interested.
idea.
Yeah.
Any way to get word out is a good thing.
And then I would plan to share whatever schedule we come up with on my school board page, help push it out. Maybe we can put it in school's over, so we're not sending the newsletters out anymore, but.
Social media, we could.
Yeah, social media, we could do
Do
it.
emails to parents.
I like it.
Yeah. So-
I like it too, so
Okay.
Yeah,
sign me up.
I like it.
Okay,
I think we also have to hit the other 5 municipalities that are part of the school district.
that's a good idea.
So if we're gonna have office hours, it should be maybe at the town of Dunn Center, whatever
Different
it is, or
locations.
in the other locations also. At least give them the opportunity.
Yep.
If
That's
no
a good
one
idea.
shows, that's okay. At least we're trying to get the word out.
So, do we want to talk about schedule now, or or is that something we can do offline?
I think we can do it offline, but
Yeah.
what
Okay.
type of timeline are you looking at?
Well, I don't know. I was thinking once a week for the next few weeks would be good, but I don't know if we want to tie it in somehow with the surveys at all, or if we want to front load it so that in the next 2 weeks we have a couple, or, I mean, that we could do a couple a week. I don't know. I mean, I think with 5 of us, I don't know what your thoughts are, Bruce, if you like the idea or want to
I
participate.
like it. I think it's a great idea.
You know, we could, our personal time commitment could be less, but still have a big impact or give a lot of opportunity to people.
Aaron, what would you suggest?
I don't think the timing necessarily matters, whether it's while the survey's out or not. I think it's something you're probably gonna wanna continue long-term, referendum or
Definitely.
no. Maybe not to the extent of once a week, but, you know, whatever's realistic. I think it would be good to get into some sort of rhythm with it and get it going sooner than later. And, you know, whatever you're able to commit to, though, you know.
You
I think I
probably
wanna be
really target
respectful.
The community festival.
Mhm.
with some
That's a
type
good
of
idea, too.
Booth or something.
And then, you know, you obviously would know better than I would about location and time of day and those kind of things. Because you probably want to have a variety
Agree.
so that you get to different people.
Well, we could do like a weekend day, and then maybe during the week, do coffee shop or a restaurant, something like that. Because I am more of a social person, so I do tend to be out in the community quite a bit, and you go to Angelo's on a Thursday night, that place is hopping.
That was one thing I was wondering, is if Angelo's during a dinner hour is a good idea.
As
or-
long
I
as
mean,
they're
Maple
open for
Tree
it.
might be another one,
True.
because that
Maple
place,
Tree.
standing
That's
room
true.
only.
That could be, yep.
You can talk
Yeah,
to
while
them
people are
waiting
waiting.
online.
at the table.
Do you have any questions about the referendum? Did you get the survey?
It's true. Okay, so with discussion and the planning part of it and having discussions not be a walking quorum issue, how do we
Right.
determine, what's the best way to determine this?
We don't want more than 2 people.
Oh, I just mean in the logistics of scheduling it.
Yeah, I think it would be a matter of, it's fine to schedule something like this
Okay.
isn't a board vote. You're just scheduling
Yep.
your time, so that's not a problem. That's
Okay.
like us scheduling any meeting, so.
Okay.
So we can do
Alright.
that via email. It's not,
Okay,
So
you're not doing
you'll
anything
Get the ball rolling?
secret.
yeah, I'll get the ball rolling, throw out some ideas in an email, and then maybe we can get the first date on the books for next
And I-
week.
My schedule's pretty flexible.
Okay. Okay.
Same here. Thank you, Megan.
Okay,
Yeah, and I'm gonna be gone like 3 weeks, 3.5 weeks in July, so.
Okay.
I'll do it before that
okay,
and after that.
all right, awesome, thank you all,
Mhm.
appreciate that,
Thank you.
Thank you.
yeah.
District Administrators Report, Mr. Tarnitzer.
Well, hello, here we are. Lot of things happened between the last board meeting and our time here together today. We, of course, had the staff recognition program, so thank you to all of you for coming. What a wonderful event it was to recognize the retirees and the people for their years of service and awards won. It was wonderful to be able to have it go off without a hitch. The only hitch we had was we were early.
Yes.
Which has never happened before in my career. And, but we did not have a squirrel that took out the power at the high school like it did last year.
Amazing.
And it was just a really wonderful celebration, I think, of the many years of service of the staff that were retiring.
And might I say, you are a tremendous MC.
Oh, well, thank you.
Seriously, I mean, you could DJ, you could work weddings.
Cool, cool.
There you
Step
go.
in for Pat Sajak now that he's retired. I mean,
Wow.
Could make up that dip in your salary.
hey, there you go. And you get to hang out with Vanna because she's still kicking.
That's true.
Sorry,
That's a
we're big
lot
Wheel
of
of Fortune
ideas.
people.
A lot of great ideas.
Because you have all that spare time
Yeah.
too.
Yeah, DJT, I just. didn't really-
DJT.
Oh, that was a little too ready, that name.
And you know what? He's got a dinosaur outfit to wear at the same time as he's spinning. You
Yeah, be a
know.
cow.
Bruh.
To my cow. Yeah, I think I'm gonna avoid the slang, but, yeah, it is important, and I think I try to think about where people are at that time of year. And I think the adjustments that we've made after a lot of conversations between Angie and I and amongst other staff, we're trying to elevate the retirees and,
Thank you.
and really give them, you know, the highlight. And I think having all staff go was sort of requiring them to attend. Last year was a big jump, and not everybody loved
Yeah.
that. Most people did. And I think this year, because it went off in one spot and the way it was supposed to, I think people saw what we were trying to do last year.
Well, it went really well. I mean, the Blue Notes entertained, and there was all kinds of
Yeah.
good food out there for them. If you've got to be around that time, you might as well come down and recognize your
Yeah.
local icons.
I think the retired teachers appreciated sitting with their peers, the family versus
Yes.
all together.
Mhm.
So.
I just
that's
wish
a
we
good change.
I agree, Tom. That was really important. And I think, Aaron, our staff survey talked about the fact that we don't feel like we're as close as we would like to be as a school community. And I think, I'm really glad that you actually kind of, I don't want to say coerced, but you wanted the people to be all, you wanted them all to be there. And I think that's really healthy. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I think, you know, the timing was perfect. Yeah, it did finish before, like you said.
Yeah.
That's a nice problem to have.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's better than the other way.
Yes.
And even the 7:30, you said you thought maybe it was, people might thought it was too early, but most of them are ready,
Yeah.
are still used to doing that, you know, as just the day after school, so.
Not the regular work
I
day,
think it's,
so,
right,
yeah.
so I think, it seems like it worked well. So,
Historically,
good
that's
adjustments.
such a feel-good event. I mean, you can't walk out of there, I don't care if it's someplace off-site, if it's 9 o'clock at night or 9 o'clock in the morning, you know, these are all colleagues, you know, and their families, and we need to make sure that they understand how much they were appreciated over the years, and it just is, there was a lot of smiles that I could see when the event was over. I think it was really well done. I just think, you know, you take a little chance now and again about moving an event or changing venues, that kind of thing, but this worked out really good. We've got a beautiful performing arts center, let's use it.
And you had a beautiful costume change.
I thought,
You
did.
did.
That was fantastic.
I
That was
thought,
really, that was really good.
Thought Kate was gonna die in her seat, but.
Yeah. That's good. It's important. And, you know, I think we've got a couple of tweaks we'll make for next year, just to make it run a little bit more smoothly. We want to make sure our food service staff isn't worried about the food and can focus on the event themselves.
Oh, that's true.
The school nutrition team
Yeah.
is kind of pulled in two directions.
those things can be hard for teachers that aren't, or for anyone that's not used to being recognized or the
Yes.
center of attention. And I think one thing you'll notice about most high performers are just chronically modest. You know, and they just don't ever want to quite take the credit they deserve for the job they've done, so sometimes you just have to do it anyway. Do
Well, I
it
think
for
we
'em.
have, yeah, but I think we have to be sensitive to their needs also.
Oh, yeah, oh, of course.
I think, because in the past, people just wouldn't show up. I mean, they would
Right.
tell us that they were coming, you know, for a number of
Right.
reasons. And one of the reasons was they didn't want to be the focal point of attention. So we just have to be cognizant.
True.
I agree.
That might be an opportunity to give our business partners a chance to let the food service people rest and have some of our chamber friends donate some time or food.
Just one good idea after another this evening.
You were on a roll.
Just thinking, I'm just thinking.
Okay,
Yeah, that's true.
Planting the seeds.
carry on.
So the other thing that happened that afternoon then was Tom and I were able to go to some graduations. So I did bring just the programs from those, you can pass those around. But we went to the Wisconsin, I think I missed one. Were there three?
Yes.
Did you get three programs? I only got two. So we went to the Wisconsin Virtual Academy's high school graduation. So there were 3 of them, and they were held at Madison College. The first one was held in the theater, and that was for Destinations Career Academy. And I think, from what I recall, there were about 80 graduates and 60-ish were in attendance in person. And keep in mind, these are students and their families that are coming from all over the state, you know, to attend these. And it was really interesting. They talked about the careers that they were going into and which pathway that they were a part of. That one was really neat because they did highlight what their career plans are, similar to what we do in our graduation here at our brick and mortar. And then the second one was Insight, and that was held in the gymnasium there. It was very close after. We kind of went from one right to the other. And that one was an interesting one. Insight is, you know, where kids are really credit deficient. And so they have some credit recovery that they're doing. And the enthusiasm, about the same number of graduates, I think.
81.
Yeah, 81. And the amount of enthusiasm from the families was just really exciting. Because I think there was probably a time in some of these students' careers that they weren't sure they were going to graduate.
Not at all.
Some of the staff are still checking in with them. to
Yes.
Make sure they completed their credits that day.
Yeah, some of the finish line, some were at the finish line, right?
Yes.
Some, you know, had brought their children up with them. It was just a really powerful, wonderful event. And then the last one was the WEVA, so the full high school, and that was over 200 graduates. Did you have the numbers?
Well, they had 346 listed graduates. but
Listed,
Just
yeah.
a little 200 attended.
In present.
That's
present.
amazing.
Wow.
Yes.
That's good.
From all over the state.
Yeah, and it was really wonderful. They overfilled the gym, so then they had to have people go to the theater and watch virtually. Which, by the way, I should say, there were also graduates who attended virtually as well.
And that was new this year.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so
Yeah.
and Dr. Cutler did a wonderful job with her speech, and she really talked about how they're really the future with their education and the way that they learn, that the things that they were exposed to will become more the norm for kids in blended learning moving forward. Just really inspirational across the board. I don't know if you have other things to add.
And just to review again, through Destinations Career Academies, there are 6 pathways right now: agriculture and natural resources, business management and administration, information and health services, construction and engineering, information technology, law, and criminal justice. I think they plan to add 1 or 2.
I think they're adding education.
Education,
Did
I
make
think in the
that up?
fall.
Yeah.
And then they have another one scheduled for 2 years. With WEVA, again, you would know that it was not a brick and mortar high school graduation.
True.
Because they had graduates with honors, early graduation, scholarship recipients, National Honor Society, all the chords and all that stuff. So if you didn't know, you'd swear it was just an area high school. Joel Kitchens, the state representative and chair of the education committee, did the main speech for WEVA. He was invited, and again, he talked a lot about choices. Very appropriate for him because of his background with as a state representative. And I enjoyed listening to him because this is the second time I've heard him. I'm just thinking, as a public school board member, we have our work cut out for us. But our product is outstanding. So it's just, we might have to do a little more marketing or something. Because we have had, I think we might have had one student that attended WEVA or one of the virtual schools this year. But they do it for different reasons too, so. But anyway, but again, if you ever have a chance to go to one of the WEVA graduations, I would highly encourage that.
I think they'll have to probably look at a different location.
I know,
for future years. They've just, I think, outgrown
yeah.
Madison College.
I think many of them were the first in their family to graduate from high school, because I spoke to a few of them. And, you know, like you said, Aaron, the excitement from these families was exceptional. You know, things that we may not hear with the brick and mortar school.
And a lot of the students had never been together
No.
in person with each
Right.
other. So.
Yep.
Oh, that was probably really special.
Yeah, it is. So if you do a state map or got a state map, you could put those pins all over the state
Yeah.
and bring them right to
That's very
MATC,
neat.
Madison College. And I would concur with Erin. Sarah Cutler, she's done such a great job. Since she's been
Remarkable.
with WEVA.
Yeah, we were able to spend the, the day with her. I think our first graduation started at 1:30,
Mhm.
and we ended at 7:30.
Oh my gosh.
So it was a really nice day.
Wow.
And many of the teachers attended their respective
Yes.
graduation, so it was nice to see them. And I was able to connect real faces versus what I see when we have our monthly meetings.
Mhm.
Because the guidance counselors and the principals attend our monthly meetings also.
Shook a lot of hands.
I recall
Yeah, you-
the first one, it was held in an office.
Yes.
Someplace. There was 10 or 12. But at that time, a former McFarland teacher was teaching at WEVA at that time, Paul Vanden Langenberg.
Van
And
Langenberg.
I had a really nice chat with him about the differences in the kids, more or less.
Mhm.
And he said, well, kids are kids, but a lot of these kids are pretty unique. You know, they're not your everyday run-of-the-mill high school student. You know, some have difficulty just coping in the brick and mortar environment. Others thrive in that online where they can kind of self-schedule themselves and such. And if they have parents that are willing to put in the time, that's a big deal as well. Kudos to the parents.
I think one of the greatest benefits of virtual learning, especially, middle school, high school, is the pacing. I mean, students can start establishing their own pace. So I know when, a few years ago, when Janesville started their virtual site, quite a few of the kids from high school opted to get into that program, and they went through 2 years' worth of curriculum in 1 year. They wanted to get out of high school, so that's what they did.
Yeah, there's a lot of early grads,
There are,
especially at
yeah.
DCA.
Yep.
Wow.
So,
And then, of course, we had our graduation
Yep.
on Sunday, so thank everyone for being there. Such a well-run event, just, in awe of all the coordination that happens. This year, we took over the video part as well and did a great job with that. I heard the live stream was really good. And you could hear things really well. Those logistics were really important. And Kim Wink just really thinks of every detail. Speeches were
She's good.
amazing. Just a really powerful event on a gorgeous day.
I think kudos to the class too. I've been to, 10 rehearsals probably, and I know this was the shortest, for sure. And they are long or short depending upon how the kids behave, when they're herding them around. And both during the rehearsal and the ceremony, I thought the kids were just incredible. That was clockwork. And all the speeches, not only, they weren't long-winded, but every speech was really good, I thought.
and the class selected, who was the class speaker? From-
Joe
Chris
Really?
McGrath.
Yes.
Chris McGrath.
Chris McGrath.
Oh,
His,
He was the teacher speaker.
oh, yeah.
yeah,
yeah.
his topic was character. That's the best speech at a graduation I've ever heard. And I've
I
been to
agree.
a lot of graduations. And boy, he was right on. So, and that was the second year in a row, I think, that he
Yeah.
was selected to be a
Yep.
speaker.
Yep.
May just get a lifetime contract.
Yeah.
I don't know. He's awfully good at it.
Not only is he good at it, but a lot of kids respect him.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Yep, absolutely.
Definitely a favorite.
mhm.
You got any pictures?
Not from graduation, but
Oh, I mean, district pictures.
Oh, we're not there yet.
Oh, we're not?
No, no,
sorry.
no. And of course, we had Juneteenth.
I apologize.
So, a wonderful event. Our Black Student Union did a great job organizing that. Thanks, of course, to Marla Connor and Brian Ward for helping, but really the students did the work with the partnership with the McFarland Equity Project. Free food, bouncy slide, you can see it all on Channel 27. It was a really wonderful event with great speeches. Brittany Brazel spoke, did a wonderful job. Students spoke, and ended with Ed Ray spoke. Crystal Johnson, the DEI strategist from the village, spoke. So just a great event, great partnership. Yesterday.
Yeah,
That was
Yeah.
just
just
yesterday.
yesterday.
Um,
And it was also funded through the community grant
Yes,
from the village,
yep.
so
So the village helped support it. And that was
Here,
just-
here.
it's a great, yeah, it was a
Really
great
nice.
event.
Good on them.
Very good.
Next
And-
week is Pride in the Park next Sunday, just so you know, too.
And I appreciated the rationale for having it yesterday, Father's Day, because of their rationale for it. But that stopped some of us from attending.
Right.
And I think they knew that ahead of time.
Yeah.
But I did like the idea of combining Father's Day with the holiday.
It's true.
Definitely. And then today was the kickoff of summer school, so thanks to everybody involved in that, Melissa Full and Carly Cherrick, certainly Kelly Vetter, that are out there in front as the leads, and then all the other staff that were there to help be a part of that, myself included. And we're there to greet the students this morning, and it's just a lot of excitement, less nervousness than I actually thought there'd be, but a great turnout. So really excited to see that going, and thanks to everybody for that. One of the things I like to do during some of these summer meetings is give you some sort of yearly statistics. So health services for this year. Last year, not this past year, the year before, there were 17,470 health office visits that were documented. This year, 19,981 health office visits
Wow.
that were documented. Medications increased from 165 to 256 for medications administered. And of course, the thing I want to remind everyone is that our health services team does so many things, both for routine medical care, regular medical care, but they also do screenings, they lead trainings. Of course, we have the communicable diseases that they address. By the way, we did have 82 documented cases of COVID this past year compared to 287 the year before. So just amazed at the amount of work they do, and such a talented team. So feel very lucky with the.
How large is that staff?
So there's one at each building, and then we have a school nurse, and then there's kind of a float person.
Okay.
So we're well-staffed compared to many of our neighbors, but understaffed if you look at everything that they're doing. And I would say, you look at something, I'm of course somewhat sensitive to with my daughter is the amount of diabetic care that they do on a daily basis for our kids, which can be pretty intense, but other special needs that, are regular, chronic. It's not just scraping knees at recess or gaga ball knuckles, as they call them.
But that, that's another clear example of what classroom teachers are responsible for, deal with, because they're the first line of defense, really.
Yes.
First line.
And I'm sure they have the repeaters that go to the health office all the time, and they try to
They do.
deter
They
some of
repeat
them,
customers, yep.
But again, just something else that classroom teachers do.
Yeah, where's that in the job description?
We'll make it right.
It's
It's not
broad.
in
It's
there.
not.
Other duties as
One of
Other
those-
duties as a side.
I know, it's one of those hidden duties.
Yep.
Also, so referendum stuff, you heard, the digital version of the parent survey went out today. The print one will be in mailboxes any day. The website's been updated. The referendum engagement group gave some great feedback on our draft website that we had and made some tweaks. And so hopefully that will be user-friendly for people. We're planning the community feedback session, so after the results come back, the 24th and 28th of July. The tentative plan, and I'm getting feedback from the referendum engagement group, but the tentative plan is to have those at the Performing Arts Center and to live stream and record them. People can submit questions that are virtual via a form that is already on the website. And so we'll be monitoring that. And what we want to do is have a variety of people speaking, including people on the committee, speaking and presenting at those sessions. So that's something we're working out, trying to see offering childcare if people need for those sessions.
Quick question, on the email you sent out, letting people know that the survey was gonna be coming out, both digitally and in the mail, did you mention that it came from school perceptions? The email did?
I hope I did.
Because I got the survey emailed to me today, and it came from school perceptions.
Yeah.
And you had to click on it to actually see that it was the survey. So just in case people have filters set up, since it's not coming from the district, but from a third party, they might not get it in their inbox, just an FYI.
And I mentioned that they do it, that it was coming from them, but I don't know if I said what it would look like.
Yeah, because it says from school
Their filter,
perceptions.
but- And they will send 8 gazillion reminders.
Okay,
Because each email is a unique code for that person.
okay,
So then they can tell who needs a reminder.
Okay.
So they'll only send reminders to those people that haven't done it.
so is that why they say, because in the email it said, if you have numerous adults in your household, have
Yeah.
one fill out the electronic and one fill out the mail?
Yeah, or
Okay.
you can get.
Contacts.
Otherwise, okay.
So what you're saying is that if you fill it out early, you will get less email communications.
That is very true. That is very true.
Seriously,
desirable.
you are just coming up with this stuff.
That is true.
Desirable.
What's in your fancy mug over there? Can you share it?
That people will delete
good.
their email. They're pretty successful at that. So hopefully they will see it and take care of that. So then I will share some photos with you, talk about upcoming events, and see if there's anything else that the board has to share.
There we go.
All right, so you had the outside reading and popsicles. You can guess the flavors.
Were they red, white, and blue ones? The
Looks
Rocket
like
Pops?
There's definitely
Looks that
Those are
way.
the best.
maybe.
There's red
Some
and
purple,
purple
maybe.
tongues happening there.
Yes, so having a
Probably.
lot of fun. It's a great tradition on the library patio.
And if you look at actually the roof of,
Mhm.
up there.
Oh, yes, that's right, thank
that
you.
is where the,
Story time?
principal and associate principal are living.
Oh,
That's fun.
Yes,
Oh,
True.
yes, I don't know that we're insured for that, but they do a great
you're just like, I
job
got it. We're fine.
up there, and it's a fun thing for them to do.
Fun.
The kids really think that's funny. The 6th grade poetry cafe was amazing. Was able to get and hear some of the amazing poets in 6th grade. And just really clever, really witty poems, and it was just really impressive. A wonderful thing, and they really kind of made it fancy.
Have they done the cafe before?
Yes, they've
Yeah,
done it. I
okay.
don't know that it's been quite as fancy.
Okay.
I don't remember it being as fancy during my time there.
Mhm.
Maybe they waited till I left, but, yeah, it's been a tradition. One of the things they did was they moved it during the time of year. It wasn't usually that time of year.
Okay.
So a nice culmination of the year, and they could be playful with it. It was great. It was a really neat event. The orchestra concert, of course, you can see, these are 8th graders here. Beautiful Performing Arts Center, great sound. I wasn't able to attend, but heard great things. And then all our outgoing seniors from our clubs, you can see how sad they are. Just wonderful. And that's just some of them, but it's just nice to recognize. Our students are so involved here. It's really amazing leadership. You probably saw this, the U.S. government and the AP courses were at the Capitol and in Dane County executive offices, so getting to be part of the rooms where it happens.
Hanging out with Jimmy Anderson.
Yep, hanging out with Jimmy Anderson, so what a cool experience for them. And of course, you had Dwayne got painted there, The Rock. That's
I
the
didn't
name of
realize it had a name.
Dwayne
does.
the Rock.
How did I not know that?
That's the name.
Can you smell what?
Pride Month.
Cooking.
Of course, you see the flags up in all the schools, but it's always a nice tradition to paint the rock there for the month of June.
I've heard so many positive things about flying the pride flags.
Oh, okay, good.
That is, people are really, you never know how much what feels like maybe a small gesture just makes people feel included. And it just signifies a safe place.
Really
know.
looks
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah, and it looks really good.
Aesthetically, it's very pleasing too.
It's a very pretty flag.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's one of those things I always think, oh, it's just, it's June, so people aren't around, but certainly here, very visible. No one's looking at the middle school right now, but she can't get up.
Primary
They couldn't
school.
get there if they
Straight.
wanted to.
But
CPS is getting a lot more traffic, so
Yeah.
that's a good one right there.
that's good.
I'm still not used to seeing the traffic go by the wrong way. I keep it,
That's
Yeah.
the way it was originally,
I'm just not used to it.
when Mr. Mooney was over there.
Well, only during construction.
Watched the close calls every day.
Yeah.
Lion Hall recognized, thank you to the Optimist Club for recognizing Lion. A wonderful, very involved senior, a special kid we just saw walk across the stage. I think that's the end of that part. So then, other things coming up is, I mentioned the Pride event. At 1 o'clock, you can throw pie in my face, coming up this weekend. Of course, we have Independence Day coming up. So this summer school session ends on the 27th, and then another one starts from the 8th to the 18th of July. July 9th is a School and Village Board Joint Planning Committee, and we're back here on the 15th. So any other recognitions the board would like to share?
Y'all are great, I'll just say that.
I'll take it. Do I have a second? Okay.
How is the, I don't know if this is the right spot to ask, but how is progress? Are we on schedule with the Exchange Street project? And is that
Well,
getting-
I mean, first of all, there's no we, that is we are not involved in that project. But yes, they are actually, I'm just teasing you. They are ahead of schedule. I heard
I
this.
suppose weather's been amenable to being outside.
Yep, so the utility work has been going a little faster than they anticipated. But they're still wanting to remind people that they're not planning for it to be done until September 2nd, so,
I just hope they're staying hydrated this week. It's
Yes.
very, very
Story.
hot.
yeah.
True story.
I'm sure they are.
Tomorrow's gonna be a hot one.
Yeah.
That's all I have for you. Oh,
Thank you very much.
thank you, great question.
And we will move into our action items. First, action on the memorandum of understanding with the Natural Circles of Support for July 1st, 2024 through June 30th, 2025. The administration recommends the board approve the memorandum of agreement with Natural Circles of Support for the time period from July 1st, 2024 through June 30th, 2025. I would look for a motion to approve.
I move to approve the memorandum of understanding with National Circles of Support for the time period of July 1st, 2024 through June 30th, 2025, as recommended by administration.
Thank you, Megan. Do I have a second?
I can second that.
Thank you, Megan.
Fessler.
Hessler? Discussion?
I have a few
Yeah.
things I can share, just to give you a little bit of background. So
Yeah.
this is a 5-year grant that the district received with our partners. We're partnering with UW and Natural Circles of Support. So we are kind of on the downhill part of this grant. So there's a year and a half left. And what you'll notice in the changes is this very clear transition from the Natural Circles really leading a lot of the work and to the district leading that. And that was always intentional so that this work would be sustainable. And so their role is really changing more to consultant instead of direct service provider. So Brittany Brazel will, in her coordinating role, will be doing a couple things. One is she will actually be facilitating the circles, the mentoring circles, with our Black students across the district. And to be clear, that was not the intention originally. The original intention was that we would create additional co-curricular positions and other staff would fill that. But given the need for fiscal responsibility and also Brittany is in so many places. She's already coordinating professional development. She's working with the administrative team. She's working with the equity action teams in each of the buildings. That it made logical sense. It's an efficient way to integrate all that work. So next year, you're gonna see her role evolve into leading more professional development for all staff versus just equity action teams and integrating what's learned here. She's also gonna be, as you'll see in this, in the memorandum, going to be leading optional staff sessions for those that are interested in learning about some of the practices that emerge through the mentoring circles and what we're hearing from students. So that's really exciting. And then she'll continue her leadership with the Family Equity Council and trying to expand membership or participation, I should say, because there aren't really members. You come, you're a member. And wanting to highlight like certain topics and having guest speakers and things. So that's the part, and then throughout this, Natural Circles will still be consulting with the district, advising, kind of handing the baton off, so to speak, and we'll continue working with them. We meet with the leadership team, we meet twice a month, and we'll continue to do so. And
So-
monitoring our progress.
At the end of the 5 years, is this something that they would be looking to renew, or is that kind of the end of our
That would be the end of
engagement
our,
with, okay.
yep, that would be the end of our time. It's a 5-year grant. If you don't spend all the money, they will consider, you can ask to have some of it carried beyond. They said due to COVID and the impact on our progress, but we're gonna spend all the money.
But
Well,
our
that was
goal,
the plan.
Yeah.
but our goal is to continue the,
The work.
The work,
all the work, yeah.
Yeah.
absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah, we have learned a ton and those things carry over. The idea is to spend the money, invest it, such that it's able to continue to be on.
Is there really enough of Brittany
I was just gonna,
to get everything that she's tackling?
I mean, we could always
Enough of her
use.
to go around?
Yeah, we could always use more. She's not bored.
Yeah,
So it is a bit of a prioritization of her time. And then partly that's emerged just from her skill set. I mean, she can be anywhere, in any space, connects well with people, has a clear vision. And so, I think we're finding a way to help. My job is to help her set boundaries, so she doesn't say yes to everything, and to prioritize her perks.
Anything else?
Yeah, I was in goal 3. It talks about feedback gathered from students and circles to support the need for change of tier 1 practices. Are there examples of Like what feedback would be that would change that? Or what's my real question? Like what do they feel like they're not getting supported in that tier 1 instruction?
Yes, so I can just tell you kind of anecdotally what I've heard before, but this is a movement forward for us because we haven't done a lot of this before
Right.
in terms of sharing it out. But some of the things that you will hear is things about what's included in the curriculum throughout the school year. Students often talk about when you can see teachers with great intentions to talk about diverse topics, but they often feel like all eyes are on them. So making sure that we want to empower students to share, but not put them in the uncomfortable spot that you are speaking on behalf.
Got it.
Also,
That's important.
things to notice, the things that don't get, that if you're not looking for it, you won't see in terms of different bias and harassment that emerges. A bias that I know I've heard from students in natural circles before is that assuming that we need help. So I'm a student of color and assuming that I need additional assistance. So things like that are what emerge. One of the things that I think is more telling and what Natural Circles is focused on day 1 is more so what teachers are doing that helps than what teachers are doing that doesn't. So, challenging me, giving me that extra, material, checking in with me before a topic is discussed to say, I want to let you know this topic is coming up and I want to make sure, you're comfortable. Things like that.
Cool. That's very cool.
Bruce, raise a hand.
Yeah.
Bruce?
Yeah,
Sir?
I'm sorry, I haven't been using this thing, so apologize. I think Christine Pribenow was very instrumental in getting this whole grant. Am I correct on that?
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, and I just think she deserves a lot of, kudos for all of her work. But again, it just, to me, once again, McFarland to me is on the cutting edge. We're not, a large inner city school. We aren't the most diverse school. And yet at the same time, we're recognizing the importance of all this work. And it's something I'm just very proud of for this community in this school district.
And there is hope to replicate what we have done with them in other districts, so that's
Yeah.
something that they're looking to do.
My other comment about this was for goal number 5, I love that idea of using the Family Equity Council meetings to include time for surveys, just giving more space to try to increase engagement and voice in official ways that maybe will show up on the surveys that we haven't had the opportunity to do before, so that's awesome. And the quarterly updates about circles in the family newsletter, that's fantastic. Because I think a lot of even families in the district don't fully know how much work is happening there. So that's great. Love that.
Anything else? We've got a motion and a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0, unanimous. Next is action on recommended fee schedule. Administration recommends approval of the fee schedule as proposed. If you are in agreement with these recommendations, I would look for a motion.
Sure, I move to approve the 2024-25 fee schedule as recommended by administration.
Thank you, Tom. Do I have a second?
I will second that.
Thank you, Bruce. Discussion?
Yeah.
When parents pay with their school fees, if they use a credit card, is there a 4% surcharge?
We don't have the charge during the registration window.
That's right.
Okay.
So, and we hope that incentivizes people to pay on time.
Good.
I'm gonna just want to highlight some of the changes. I think you have information in front of you that the public doesn't have, so I want to make sure that they're aware. And we'll obviously need to continue to communicate this out in other ways. So the vast majority of fee increases are due to increased costs. So food service is a great example. The athletic fee is another example, that just transportation costs are going up.
I
so
was
the
actually
athletic
surprised it
fee-
wasn't higher.
Yeah.
So, wow.
We do have one of the higher fees in the conference for athletics.
Okay.
And, yeah, I was surprised by that too. But then some areas are strategically related to our budget deficit. So one is the private pay fee for transportation. That, it actually used to be $360 back in 2013 and 14. And just to make it more affordable to families, that was reduced down to $100 for people. So that means you're not eligible for busing, but you can, pay. We also decreased our walk zones dramatically, eliminating them K2. And so we're looking to move those, doubling the fee from 100 to 200. We will most likely have to consider in future years whether or not we'll be able to continue providing that service, just due to costs. And we will likely have to adjust our walk zones, meaning more kids will be walking instead of riding the bus, just for financial
Is it out to
reasons.
2 miles?
2 miles is the allowable limit.
I did have one
So-
question, and this kind of flows into the next agenda item. The private pay bus cost, does that also take into consideration busing costs for like parochial schools, that sort of thing? Or is there, okay, all right, that was my
Yeah,
question.
they're
separate? Okay.
Well, and even if I understand it correctly, even if the fee goes up to 200, that still doesn't cover our district costs for those,
Correct.
right? Yeah, okay.
Correct.
So it's not like the private pay are fully covering the cost.
They're not. And so we felt like we're doubling the cost, that was a pretty big jump. But we may need to long-term consider eliminating it altogether. And then you'll see the addition of a helmet fee for football. So one of the things that we haven't done before is differentiated sports outside of hockey, really. That's the main one that has additional expenses related to ice time. Yet the fee or the cost to refurbish helmets is significant. And so that's something that we're adding for this year to offset some of those costs, which before were absorbed by our budget.
Can you go into what reconditioning is more
I-
specifically? I mean, I know what it is, but,
You can then.
I mean, I know a
Yes.
little bit about it.
Yeah, I
Basically
don't-
replacing padding, making sure all the helmets aren't cracked.
Mhm.
We actually have some of our helmets that have special concussion protocol within it. So I'm actually very thankful that we are having helmet reconditioning, so that way our
Mhm.
kiddos' heads are getting the
Mhm.
best safety measures possible.
I think
Yes.
most, if not all, new helmets come with that special,
I don't think all of them do. Maybe, I can't.
I'm
speak
not
for
sure, I talked to
but-
Paul briefly about it, and I was
Okay.
so stunned by how much a new helmet
Oh,
costs
gosh, yeah.
nowadays. And I think we're mandated to turn them over
Yeah.
in a certain
Yeah.
period of
Correct.
time. So they rotate them out, but that's a tremendous expense.
Well, and I will say, the incoming football team, there's 80 new freshmen coming to play football next school year, which is a lot. That is
It's
a
a
good
lot.
problem to have.
That's way a lot.
Yeah.
It's almost too many.
I mean, if they all play high school football, I believe there were
Right.
80 eighth graders last year. But-
Great,
So come on out for football games, y'all.
that's right.
I don't recall exactly what school it was, but I was privy to a discussion very recently that there are districts that cut in 7th and 8th grade.
Oh, wow.
Mhm.
But then we do have
They
one,
just have so much participate. Middleton, for example, will have 90 kids go out for golf.
Oh, jeez.
I will say we are pretty lucky though, because we had one school in our district have to cut their varsity football team because they didn't have enough
Correct.
kids.
Oh, wow.
They were all freshmen that were gonna go up and play against
Oh.
senior
And there
varsity.
wasn't enough of them,
No, so they just cut their varsity season altogether.
sacrificial lambs. Okay, we digress.
Sorry.
Slightly.
Yeah, so those were just some of the things I just wanted to highlight, that the fee schedule you're seeing in front of you does include increases that would not have occurred had the referendum passed.
I do really appreciate your breakdown on the tech ed cost increases, because I don't think many people think about the cost of wood, the cost of metals, things like that. And I know that as a district, we do as much as we can to be sustainable and like reusing the trees that are being cut down and that sort of thing. But costs are going up and especially with how much we're focused on, you know, trades and things like that. I appreciate the transparency.
That gives me a segue too, to point out, keep in mind that the student-run business, Spartan Manufacturing, also, some of their profits go back into
Oh, that's great.
the costs there, so that's a nice thing. So when you buy those things from them, and please do, go out to the website right now, that does come back.
Turnaround is quick. I got great air freshener.
I think that would be a good thing for a report sometime, where they can actually show online what's available. Because unless you're connected with the high school, or you're on that particular Facebook page, you aren't aware of it.
Yeah.
That might be someone to, that would be great to anonymously share on social media.
Well, and I had a conversation with Mr. Ray back there, and they've, I don't know if they've contracted with, but they have an agreement with the village that they're donating many or much of the trees
Oh,
that
yeah.
they
Yep.
cut
Yeah.
down
Yep.
back to us. Our tech ed group, I think, rents or leases an actual mill, and they mill those logs themselves.
Oh, yeah, they're doing
Yes.
everything in-house.
And to the point that I was having this conversation with Travis, they had saved us $5,000 thus far.
And I will say we are very lucky to have Steve Pennicamp,
Mm-hmm.
because he's
That whole
doing
group.
Yeah, the whole
amazing
group.
things.
That tech ed group is amazing. Okay, so,
I have a couple
okay,
questions.
no,
Um,
my bad.
no, it's okay. Do we know what the net impact of the increase in fees will be?
I don't
On
know.
the
I don't
bottom
know
line?
the total number. That's a great question. I can find that out. Of course, some of them are electives, but,
Right.
so.
Like maybe if you can get the number for like how it would have impacted last school year, you know, like based on the elective.
Do a comparison
enrollment
about how much we think.
there.
Yeah, we can definitely look at that. Oh, Timberlee's one I didn't mention too. Timberlee's
yeah.
going up $18, which is a significant jump.
Mm-hmm.
It still doesn't come close to what it costs, but.
Right, yeah. I really wish that, I mean, when I see fees like this come out, especially for the classes offered, I really wish public education, I feel like should be free, you know? And the funding system is not set up that way, and I think it can be an equity issue. But that's just my ideal world. So I'm sorry.
Megan,
it can't be.
I really agree with that, and I'm so,
Oh,
Oops.
You froze, Bruce. Oh, you froze, so we missed most of what you said.
I was thanking you, for what you said.
Oh, well, thank you.
Anything else? Okay, I have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0, unanimous. The next is action on 2024-2025 private transportation contracts. Annually, the school board approves private transportation contracts for district families who will have children attending private or parochial schools in the school year as defined by State Statute 121.54. If you are in agreement, I would look for a motion.
I move to approve the 2024-25 private transportation contracts as recommended by the administration.
Thank you, Megan. Do I have a second?
I can second that.
Thank you, Megan.
Motion by Chapman, second by Fessler.
Second by
Sorry.
Chapman, motion by Fessler.
Yep.
Discussion. Hearing none. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0 unanimously. Action on the recommended WEVA Destinations Career Academy and Insight School of Wisconsin. Statute 118.408G, student transfers to residential districts. At this time, WEVA, Destinations Career Academy, and Insight School of Wisconsin are requesting approval of the recommended student transfers back to their resident districts due to lack of engagement. I would look for a motion.
I move to approve the WEVA Destinations Career Academy and Insight School of Wisconsin recommended student transfers back to the resident districts due to the lack of engagement.
Thank you, Tom. Do I have a second?
I can second that.
Thank you, Bruce. Discussion?
Yeah, just a quick review. There's only 12 students, first through fourth grade, on this list.
Yep.
And usually, well, this is the largest list typically. So once again, my compliment to Sarah Cutler and her principals and her staff. They have worked very hard to make sure that those students stay as much engaged as possible. And then secondly, on this list are 14 seniors. 14 seniors that came so close to the finish line that they couldn't make it for a number of reasons, you know. that
There's
it's-
got to be some stories
It
there.
is,
Yeah.
there probably is, but it's
Yeah.
still truly unfortunate that they got that close.
Yep.
And also, there's 42 juniors on this list.
Oh.
So, and I understand why we have to put them on the disengagement list. But again, we'll just keep pulling ahead.
Absolutely.
Moving ahead.
I think the thing to piggyback off your first comment about that they've done such a nice job this year in getting the lower grades off of this list and providing more support for them, but in such a short amount of time. Like, it feels like, I mean, we've been saying that for a few months, that there haven't been our youngest learners on this list. And so that's, I mean, probably in less than half a year, they were able to turn that around.
But their
Really?
mission was to focus on
No, I know, they
elementary
just,
kids this
they
year.
really did it, and they did it
really
quickly.
done it.
Yeah, awesome.
Anything else? Hearing none. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries 5-0 unanimously. Let's see, I think that gets us pretty close to the end of the meeting.
I think it's a right to the end of the meeting.
Look for a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Do I have a second?
Fessler seconds.
Fessler, Chapman moves and Fessler seconds. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. We are adjourned at 8:29.
We are only 9
Not
minutes
bad.
over.
I know, I was
Great
gonna
job.
say, your estimates are
Thank
really
you.
getting good.
Yeah, and that's trying to guess what you guys are gonna talk about.
Great job.
That's actually starting 5 minutes late, so you're.
According to my statistical analysis, that is on time.
Excellent.